Help KZOM Radio build towards the future. We are currently looking to expand our network and need all the help and support we can get. Please visit kzomradio.com/fundraising for details. Howdy, all you zombie fans. Welcome back to another exciting episode of The Zurvivalist. I am your host, Matt Jarbo, here today with Mike from Minneapolis. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And thanks for being on the show. I know we had a little bit of trouble getting connected. But
not a problem at all. So
I'm going to lock it down. I'm going to ask you the question because I know you're excited. I can feel it emanating through Skype. Is how would you survive a zombie outbreak?
So, funny you should ask that because this has actually been something I've been contemplating for years. I'm very much into the zombie lore and zombie everything. I don't know if you've read about the issues they're having out in Africa now, where there's actually the disease of kids where they're basically being zombified and they're destroying shit all over the place, and people don't know what to do, so they're restraining the kids and they're gnawing through the restraints. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, all right, it's time.
How is that not a Capcom game?
I don't know. I basically looked into this. I'm like, is this not the premise for Resident Evil 6 or something like that?
Or the expansion pack to Resident Evil 5?
Right. It's regardless. I'm just like, holy shit, this is kind of happening. But I always actually joke with my wife that Left 4 Dead is not a game; it's a training guide. It's there for purposes of being able to teach people how to work as a team while getting through a horde of shit of zombies.
True, and then I Am Alive is a great survival game.
Right.
So I just like throwing that out there. But yeah, so you've obviously thought about it, at least in terms of video games and studying the effects of an African disease that I really hope people from, like, I don't know, Invisible Children don't bring back over here.
Right.
Just leave it to the Christians to destroy civilization.
It's happened once or twice before.
True. So, there's that. But okay, so obviously you're married. Do you have kids?
I don't. No, it's just me and my wife and my dog.
Okay, so then that's kind of a start, Would you stay locally? Because I know that Minneapolis has about 350,000 people.
Yep. So what I've learned from the various zombie lores that I have read is that metropolitan areas, bad idea. Luckily for me, my parents live about an hour away in kind of a very rural area with an absurd amount of guns, because I come from the stereotypical very right-wing Catholic family, and of course I grew up with the blue mohawk and all that kind of shit, because what's better than being a stereotype?
Sure. No, I mean, also, you have Bachmann as governor, so.
She's not quite the governor, but she's just, we won't mention that.
So what you're saying is there are lots of people with lots of guns.
Yeah. So, I mean, outside of the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, there's a lot of people with lots of guns, but even more so, there's lots of things that can be used as weapons because guns make noise.
True.
And when you make noise, you're going to draw more zombies towards you, so not the best idea. So it's been kind of one of those things. It's like, I guess, to plan early, I would make sure to get my rear end up there, along with my team of people that I, want to have around when we have to repopulate society. And it's a very nicely situated thing, like kind of on a hill on both sides of the house. So it's kind of like, all right, I've got the upper ground on anything coming my way.
Yeah, well, I mean, plus you live in the land of 1,000 lakes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, water is going to play a huge toll in your survival tactic. Not to mention, wintertime, definitely. It's going to, zombies can't trudge through the lakes if they're frozen.
No, but, I mean, if you've read World War Z, the worry with that is that, the zombies can stay frozen and in kind of suspense animation. So, while you get kind of a lapse in carnage through 6 months out of the year here, that, it's not like they go away just because they've been frozen for however long.
No. I mean, you're going to have your dangers regardless, whether it's weather, environmental, people, zombies. Because whether zombies may freeze, you still have the population to deal with, the survivors, and right. That's going to be another problem in itself.
Right, because people in large masses are stupid and tend to do ridiculous things.
Yes,
and that's always another concern too. Luckily, I own a vehicle that it's sizable, but it's not a gas guzzler either. So
Well, okay, here's a question, 'cause I like to sometimes pose scenarios, and whatnot. And I'm looking at a general map of Minneapolis and St. Paul, and I'm curious. So you've got you got the Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport right there to the southeast. And what if, like, if they were herding everyone there, if like, National Guard came in, or maybe a militia group, I don't know, and they're trying to get everyone there, would you go with the crew, or like with the crowd to the airport to be evacuated, or would you try to stay, would you stay and like?
Absolutely not. No. I mean, because while the area where the airport is not actually heavily populated, it's very commercialized over there. There's still going to be a dense population of people there, regardless, who will probably be trying to stock up on goods and supplies, and just mass chaos and bedlam of trying to, loot, raid, and pillage and whatnot.
Yeah.
I would try to avoid that like the plague. Again, like you've seen in a lot of scenarios, the more people that are going to be in an area, the less probable that it would be a good idea to be in that area.
No, very true. I mean, like living in Los Angeles, 14 million people, in the metropolitan area, you've got like 350,000. Either way, we're still screwed.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's, whether it's a couple thousand or a couple million, it's people in large groups tend to do stupid things and draw attention to themselves and don't think rationally.
Exactly. Now, the question is this. Granted, living in Minnesota, I'm sure you grew up learning to fish and hunt and generally live off the land, right?
Although I am a terrible outdoors person. So
well,
that is why I want people around me in my group who know how to do that.
You're like, I'm really good at games like StarCraft. I can resource manage like crazy.
Yeah. However, actually doing it,
I need to harvest woodcutters.
Yeah, put me in charge of it.
So I mean, obviously, you'd want to form a posse of people that have a set of skills. Not quite unlike Liam Neeson from Taken. So I guess that leads into some people don't like to bring anyone else with them. They like to just keep to themselves, keep their risk level low. But obviously, in this case, given where you are, you would kind of have to have other people, like a Walking Dead scenario where you have like a band of a group that each has different skills.
Right.
If people now, would you want to keep it a small group, like maybe under 10, to keep things mobile and not like too crazy in case there's a problem, or would you want it to be like maybe just down the road, a few months down the road, where things people are going to start forming tribes. Communities of their own. I mean, would you actively join one, or would you be like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I got to vet them first.
I mean, I guess we have to see, what their little tribe has to offer. It's funny you should bring that up, because actually, my political philosophies are actually very amusing to that. I'm a sort of libertarian, and I should say that with an asterisk, because I am not a lunatic to the way many libertarians like to portray themselves at. I'm mainly a libertarian in the sense that I just like things to be small forms of government that kind of, back off and don't really get themselves involved in the everyday doings of their citizens. And in the kind of the teachings of John Locke, who's kind of the basis in which libertarianism was kind of founded off of, it talks about the formation of tribes and whatnot in order to kind of get people together to band under a common purpose or a common goal, and for protection against other people who might try to thwart on those common goals, objectives, and what have you. That being said, I mean, I guess it'd have to be a lot of, seeing what are you guys all about? Are you guys like some weird... Are you a tribe of NAMBLA members or something? I'm like, if that's the case, I want nothing to do with that.
No, for those of you who don't know what NAMBLA is, it's the National Association of Man-Boy Love. Is that Man-Boy? It's the National Man-Boy Love Association, right?
Yeah, something like that.
South Park made fun of it. Go check it out. Yeah, and that's not a group you want to be involved with.
No. Or if it's some if it's a group that happens to be worshipping of Sarah Palin or something like that. Also, don't want anything to do with that.
Nope.
No.
No. And for my sake, you can throw in Ron Paul just because.
Yeah. What's funny is I used to be in love with that guy, and then I listened to more what he had to say, and I'm like, oh.
Well, you know.
So again, that's why I throw the asterisk of, when I say libertarian, it's not
Sure.
quite.
Well, let's talk. Like, what are your plans for like long-term survival?
Well, I mean, I'd want to kind of, keep it centralized and kind of, I guess, you have to be able to live off the land. I mean, society will regress. I mean, technology won't be the go-to thing that we rely on, because there won't be the people to manage, whether it be whether it be the power, or whether it be any of the lines of communication. There won't be the manpower to kind of keep that going, so we'll have to live off the land. And again, we're the area that I always like to say that we're going to, around my parents' house. There's lots of land to kind of live off and try to, I guess, learn how to farm and go like that. I mean, it's one of those things that when you look at a scenario like this, I always like to go back and look at history and kind of see how did humans kind of go from primordial ooze to getting to where they are today. And you have to kind of go back in history and learn those lessons of how those people operated and got themselves to where human civilization is now, while being able to go through and fix some of their mistakes, i.e. religion. I'm sorry.
Well, no, of course. The thing people don't realize mostly about a zombie survival or a zombie apocalypse really is a lot of it comes down to like humanity's going to go to its roots faster than you think, because we're not brought up, like our parents, which maybe they picked berries in the field, or they worked on a farm, and things like that. We're brought up to go, yo, this happened, I'm gonna tweet it, and then like I'm gonna go to the store.
Yeah, there won't be any posting on Facebook, OMG, we're stuck at so and so's house.
Well, I think there would be for about probably like the first week or so,
yeah,
and then
when shit's all gone to hell.
Exactly, and I think that a lot of people are going to die as a result of that, and so that's going to add to the zombie army and whatnot. But because we're running low on time, because this episode's gone by really quick, so I've got to ask you the last question I ask everyone on the show is: if you were bit, what would you do?
I've actually made this pact with my wife before, because again, this is discussion that is always had. Funny side note: our vows were read out of the zombie survival guide. My friend who married us actually had them inserted in the page, and was reading all of her stuff out of there. But in as such, I have already told her, I'm like, look, if I get bit in any zombie lore, there is no coming back. So just take me out, because I don't want you to stick me around and come back, and then me biting your face off. I'd rather not go down as a zombie. No.
I don't think anyone really would.
No. So I mean, that's just for me. If I got bit, I would be like, hey guys, this is what happened. Whoever's had a grudge against me, this is your time to take it out now. So.
Or vice versa, really.
Right.
Think about it. You're just like, I'm gonna die. Screw you. So that's a solid answer, but that is all the time we have for this week. Mike, thank you very much for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
I hope you had a good time.
Oh, I did. It was awesome. So I always love talking about zombies.
That's great. And for all of you guys listening at home, remember that tomorrow we're going to be airing the season finale of The Zurvivalist for Season 4. You can find it at zurvivalist.com, or go to kzomradio.com. You can find us on Twitter, KZOM Radio, Facebook, KZOM Radio. Google it. It's there. You'll find us. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the Season 4 finale. My name is Matt Jarbo. Have yourself a good one, guys.